Welcome, everyone. Ready to dive deep? Today, we're cracking open a book that's taken the world by storm, Atomic Habits by James Clear.
It's a fascinating look at how tiny changes add up, almost like a butterfly effect for self-improvement.
That's exactly it. I was thinking about how little things, even the way conductors on Japanese trains point and call, make a huge difference for safety.
Oh, that's a great example. Clear actually uses a different analogy. Imagine a plane flying from LA to New York, just a tiny course change.
Uh, and you end up in a whole different city. Yeah, I see how that applies to habits.
Right, that's the core of the book. It's not about huge overnight transformations, it's those 1% daily improvements that make the real impact.
Like building a wall, one brick at a time. You wouldn't think much of each one, but put them all together.
You've got something solid and lasting. And that's where the four laws of behavior change come in. Make it obvious, make it attractive.
Make it easy, make it satisfying. Sounds good in theory, but how does that work in real life?
Well, think about it this way. The first law, make it obvious, is about understanding your habits before you change them. Clear suggests a habits scorecard.
Okay, so brutally honest self-assessment of what I actually do every day. Then what?
Then you use the environment to your advantage. Want to drink more water?
Yeah.
Full bottle on your desk, can't miss it.
It's like a visual cue to nudge you in the right direction.
Exactly. But say you're trying to break a bad habit, like snacking. You do the opposite, hide those snacks away.
Make it invisible, so to speak. It's amazing how much our surroundings influence us without us even realizing it.
And that leads right into make it attractive.
Yep.
Remember that story about Laszlo Polgár, the dad who raised his daughters to be chess prodigies?
Yeah, totally shaped their environment, made chess their whole world practically.
And all three of them became incredibly successful. We're social creatures. We gravitate towards what our group does.
So the habits of people we admire, those are the ones we're more likely to stick with.
Exactly. And it's not just who we're with, it's how we think about the habit. I have to versus I get to.
Ooh, that's good. Like I get to move my body and be healthy instead of I have to go to the gym. Feels different already.
It's reframing the chore into an opportunity. Now, the third law, make it easy, that's all about reducing friction for good habits.
This is where the 2-minute rule comes in, right? Start small to make it almost impossible not to do it.
You got it. Want to write a book? Don't aim for a chapter, just one paragraph. A workout, just 5 minutes.
Trick your brain into taking that first step, then it's much easier to keep going.
And for breaking bad habits, you add friction. Trying to cut down on social media. Delete those apps. Make it inconvenient.
Design the environment so it works for you, not against you. Makes sense.
Now, the last law, make it satisfying. Our brains love instant gratification.
Like that marshmallow experiment, kids offered one, now or two later, most couldn't resist.
That's it. So how do we make good habits, which pay off in the long run, equally appealing? Temptation bundling.
Ooh, tell me more. What's that?
Let's say you love podcasts but hate exercise. Only allow yourself to listen to them while working out.
Sneaking in the good habit alongside something enjoyable. I like it.
Right. And there's tracking your progress, celebrating little wins, rewards that match your goals.
So not rewarding a healthy week with pizza, but maybe a new cookbook or a massage, something aligned with the long-term goal.
That's the idea. Make those good habits immediately satisfying so they become part of who you are.
This is starting to click, but sometimes motivation just dips, you know? How do you deal with that?
That's where the system is key. Successful people, they don't rely on feeling motivated. They have a schedule and they stick to it.
Discipline equals freedom, as they say. The more ingrained the good habits are, the less you have to force yourself.
And that freedom is incredibly satisfying. It allows you to achieve your goals, have a more fulfilling life.
Become the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
This is all so fascinating, and we've only just scratched the surface. I'm already rethinking my own habits.
Welcome back. It's great to be diving deeper into these atomic habits with you. You mentioned feeling inspired. That's exactly what we want.
I am, but I need specifics. We've got these 4 laws, making habits obvious, attractive, all that. But like, I want to meditate more. Where do I start?
Love that you're jumping right into action. First, remember that habit scorecard. That's your baseline. Track your meditation, or lack thereof, for a few days.
Okay, so brutal honesty about how much I actually meditate. Then what?
Then, that first law, make it obvious. Pick a time, pick a spot, write it down, set a reminder. Even lay out your cushion the night before.
So I'm basically setting myself up for success. The cue is right there in my face.
You got it. And to make it even more obvious, there's what Clear calls implementation intentions, basically a plan. When X happens, I will do Y.
So like after I pour my coffee, I meditate for 5 minutes right here. Almost like a contract with myself.
Exactly. Now, to make it attractive, you could try habit stacking. Link your meditation to something you already do, like after your coffee and morning news.
Instead of a whole new routine, it's just adding on to an existing one.
That does feel easier. And don't forget the benefits. Think about how much calmer and more focused you'll feel after meditating. Visualize that to boost your motivation.
Like dangling a carrot, reminding myself why I'm doing this.
No, let's make it easy. The 2-minute rule is your friend here. Don't aim for 20 minutes right away. Start with 2.
2 minutes? That feels almost too easy.
That's the point. Make the hurdle so low you can't say no. And chances are, once you start, you'll keep going.
Like a journey of 1,000 miles
Yeah,
and all that.
you know it. And lastly, to make it satisfying, track your progress, maybe in a journal or an app. Seeing those streaks is motivating. And little rewards.
Oh, yeah. Like not a huge treat that undermines my goal, but maybe a new meditation cushion or a guided meditation app subscription.
You're getting it. Make those good habits satisfying so they become part of who you are.
Okay, this fortress of habits is coming together. But what about the really ingrained bad ones? The ones that feel impossible to break?
Ugh, that's where inversion comes in. Remember, it's flipping those 4 laws. Make it invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying. Let's say it's constantly checking your phone.
Oh man, tell me about it. That's one I'd love to break.
First, make it invisible. Phone goes in a drawer when you're working or with family. Out of sight, out of mind.
Literally making it harder to access. I like it.
Right. Then make it unattractive. Remind yourself how checking your phone makes you feel anxious, distracted, disconnected.
Focusing on the negatives instead of that quick dopamine hit.
Okay, got it.
To make it difficult, delete those tempting apps or use a website blocker. And unsatisfying, an app that tracks your screen time, showing you the cold, hard truth.
I'm basically building an environment that's hostile to that bad habit.
Exactly. You're creating a world where good habits flourish and bad ones wither.
It's like I'm taking control back from my autopilot, rewiring those automatic behaviors.
You got it. Becoming the architect of your habits, designing a life that matches your values. Okay, but this identity change stuff, I'm a little skeptical. It sounds kind of vague. How do you actually change who you believe you are?
Great question. That's where it gets really interesting. Remember, Clear says our actions reflect our current identity. We act in ways that match our self-image.
So, if I see myself as lazy, I'm more likely to be lazy. A self-fulfilling prophecy.
Precisely. But the good news is we can change that story. And it starts with action, not just waiting for our beliefs to shift.
Kind of like fake it till you make it, but with more substance.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not pretending. I'm proving to myself I can be different.
That's it. Each small win reinforces that new identity.
Okay, say I've always thought, I'm not creative. How do I start challenging that?
Small steps. 5 minutes a day, doodling, writing, playing music, whatever sparks your interest.
Even if my doodles are terrible and my music sounds awful.
Especially then. It's not about perfection, it's about showing up.
And as I keep showing up, my brain starts to think, hey, maybe I am a little creative after all.
Your actions rewrite the story.
This is powerful stuff, but also a lot of responsibility. Am I really saying I'm completely in control of all my habits, successes, and failures?
That's an important point. We have a lot of control, but we can't ignore our environment, genetics, circumstances.
It's about knowing what you can control and focusing your energy there, not blaming yourself for things outside your power.
And remember, habit change is a process. There will be slip-ups. Those old patterns will try to sneak back in.
So how do you deal with that? Get back on track without feeling like a total failure?
Self-compassion is key. We all make mistakes. See them as learning opportunities, not disasters.
So instead of beating myself up, I should ask, okay, what happened? What can I learn? How can I prevent this next time?
Exactly. Curiosity and compassion, not judgment and criticism.
This is starting to feel a lot less scary. It's not about being perfect. It's about making progress.
And those small changes add up. Clear uses the image of turning a giant ship. Takes a lot of effort for a small change, but over time,
You end up in a completely different place. Even when you don't see immediate results, those efforts are still steering you.
Exactly. And that's what Atomic Habits is all about, becoming the architect of your own life, one small habit at a time.
This has been amazing. Honestly, one of our most insightful deep dives yet. I feel like I get it now, how habits work, how to change them,
It's been my pleasure. I hope our listeners feel the same way.
and how to embrace the whole journey. But before we go, one last thing I'm curious about. Reflection.
Ah, yes. Reflection, it's crucial but often overlooked. Taking time to step back, assess what's working, what's not, how to adjust.
Not just blindly following rules, but being mindful and adaptable.
Exactly. Clear suggests a weekly or monthly review of your habits scorecard, tracking progress, finding areas to improve.
Like a performance review for my habits. I like it.
And ask yourself those key questions. What's going well? What's holding me back? What obstacles did I face? What worked best?
Spotting patterns, celebrating wins, troubleshooting problems.
Exactly. Then, based on that, you tweak your approach, refine those habits.
Fine-tuning the machine for better performance.
And remember, it's ongoing. There's no finish line for self-improvement. It's about constantly striving to be better.
All right, back for the final stretch of our Atomic Habits deep dive. This has been eye-opening, seeing how environment, actions, and even our beliefs all play a part. But what about when those beliefs are actually holding us back?
That's a great point. It's like we get trapped by our own self-image. You know, those labels we give ourselves. I'm not a morning person, I'm bad with money, and then we act accordingly.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy, but a negative one. Can we really break free from that, rewrite those stories we've been telling ourselves?
Absolutely. Clear talks about developing a growth mindset. That's the belief that our abilities aren't fixed, they can change and improve.
Makes sense. If you believe you can learn and grow, you're more likely to take on challenges, push your boundaries.
Exactly. And here's the key. Action comes first. You don't just sit around waiting for your beliefs to change. You take those small steps, and that's what starts to shift how you see yourself.
So it's like fake it till you make it, but with more depth. I'm not just pretending, I'm actively proving to myself I can be different.
You got it. Each small win reinforces that new identity.
Okay, concrete example. Let's say I've always thought I'm not a creative person. Where do I even begin to challenge that?
Start small. 5 minutes a day, doodling, writing, playing an instrument, anything that sparks a little creativity.
Even if those doodles are awful and my music sounds like a dying cat.
Especially then, it's not about being perfect, it's about showing up consistently.
And the more I show up, the more my brain starts to think, maybe I do have some creative juice in me.
That's how you rewrite the story. Your actions speak louder than your doubts.
This is powerful, but it also feels kind of heavy. Am I really taking full responsibility for everything? My habits, my successes, my failures, all on me.
It's important to acknowledge that we have a lot of control, but we can't ignore the influence of our environment, genetics, and even just luck sometimes.
So it's about knowing what you can influence and working on those areas,
Well,
not blaming yourself for things outside your control.
exactly. And remember, it's a journey, not a race. There will be slip-ups. Those old patterns will try to sneak back in.
Yeah, I can see that happening. How do you deal with those moments? Get back on track without feeling like you've totally blown it.
Self-compassion is key here. We're human, we make mistakes. See those slip-ups as learning experiences, not total disasters.
So instead of the self-criticism spiral, I should be asking, what happened? What can I learn from this? How do I prevent it next time?
That's the approach. Curiosity and compassion, not judgment. It makes the whole process more sustainable.
This is starting to feel a lot less intimidating. It's not about being perfect all the time. It's about making progress.
And those small changes, those atomic habits, they really add up. Clear uses the analogy of a ship turning. It takes a lot of effort to change course, even slightly, but over time.
You end up somewhere completely different. It's a reminder that even when we don't see big results right away, those consistent efforts are still moving us in the right direction.
That's it. Atomic Habits is about empowering us to be the architects of our own lives, one small habit at a time.
This deep dive has been incredible, truly. I feel like I have a whole new understanding of how habits work, how to change them, and how to actually enjoy the process.
It's been a pleasure sharing this with you, and hopefully our listeners feel the same way.
Absolutely. So to wrap things up, the big takeaway here is that you don't need some huge, life-altering moment to start making changes. You can start right now with one small habit, one atomic action.
And who knows what amazing things that one small step might lead to. It could be the start of something truly remarkable.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into atomic habits. We hope you found it as insightful and empowering as we did.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep experimenting, and keep building those atomic habits that will shape your life.